You've worked with Aztec Fruits as the quality assurance manager. Product. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it's correct.
Your degree was in what? Your first degree?
My first degree was in biochemistry and food science.
Chemistry and food science. So can you tell us what happened to Aztec?
Yes, could not be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm happy that just mentioning me has drawn the nominee. No. The premix sector has faced a lot of problems. It's for themselves, and syndicates benefit from the objective of government in subsidizing and making available to the fishermen the fuel for their business.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think the situation is not a situation that we can throw our hands in the air. Already there was this challenge. At a point, the problem came to the landing site. Now we've done the canoe identification card with the barcode, industrial players, so that at least they will have a landing site where there's a filling station. Then you go with your code together. We can show that 2020 government released 101.7 million liters of premix. So what should be the complaint?
Another basic problem on the fishing industry is transshipment, which is causing Ghana to lose a lot of revenue and also virtually killing our poor fishermen. What will you be doing, or what do you think we should be doing in order to arrest the incidence of transshipment? And what do you think we should do foreign vessels from flooding our waters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I will assist my minister, and we can do that through the relevant agencies, application of the laws, implementation of the laws. And then, as I speak to you, we are upgrading the vessel monitoring system, and we're trying to link up with a local data center that will be hosted by NITA, so we can really detect what is happening on the high seas. Mr. Chairman, also the co-management policy that making sure of help them to put humility and respect. For me, it's for God and believe strongly in doing the right things.
You say I'm former leader and former whip.
I pledge before you and that of the entire nation to assist my minister to the best of my.
Congratulations on your nomination. As I would, apart from the premix being available, its distribution is occasioned with a lot of partisan consideration. The fisher folks are complaining that because of this partisan outlook, the premix ends up in the hands of people for the subsidies that government provides. The value is occasioned with a lot of kalabule. Mr. Chairman, forgive me to have to use this word today. On the 4th of June, that's okay, of the June 4th, yeah, house cleaning. That was aimed at eliminating kalabule and its ills of society. In this age, there's kalabule existing, in that the fisher folks at between 120 and 130 cities. The argument is that by the time the fisherman, so he goes to work and he works for nothing. The other side of this premix issue is that for these fisher folks who reside on the banks of the Volta Lake, Most of them don't have health facilities. So when they have to attend Hospital East, honorable times, you know, women, I'm sure my sisters here will tell you, we tend to have our delivery symptoms late in the night. They have to go and find the outboard motor, carry the woman in labor across the river to Yeji to enable her. So apart from using it for fishing, it also, the price is so exorbitant. Mr. Nominee, please, what would you do? What will you do in concert with your substantive minister to ensure that the premix, as government has determined, gets to the user? It should get to the fisherman. It should do what they have to do, get a little profit to enable them take care of their households. Can we get that assurance, please? Thank you.
Thank you. The fisher folks to register their canoe and get the canoe identification done. The marine one was done as well by the budget. So let's encourage them to register, and let's encourage them to get the rated now. We'll take it on board, and when we can, to see how best we can solve the problem.
Chairman, let me just come in one. Honourable Speaker, indulge me. Chairman, I must lead by example. The word inferior be substituted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My second question is still to do with my fisher folks. After they've harvested fish from the river, they have difficulties in storing the fish to keep them fresh so that they can process them in whatever other way they want before it gets to the market. One of the challenges again is a lack of electricity along this stretch of the Volta Lake. What will you do if we give you the nod to ensure that these communities are linked to the rural electrification in good time?
Now, hopefully when it is rolled out by the second quarter of this year, which has been envisaged, because there's a pilot, so the outcome will mean that we have to engage, and that is where we will be able to identify most of these problems you are talking about. Linking with the agency, the Ministry of Energy and all that, all of us, the relevant agencies, we need to play a role in this, and we'll solicit the necessary needed support from the other agencies.
Thank you. My final question. On your CV, residential address is GPS GW05109556 Abensu, near the Assemblies of God Church. On the morning that we wake up and the Assemblies of God Church has relocated, how will you direct us to your residence?
I stay in the constituency. I stay at Abensu. There's no street name, and therefore the GPS is my place of identification. The Assemblies of Church is also a permanent structure, and if they will move, it will be a local church.
She fears that they can move.
No, it's a permanent structure, Mr. Chairman. It's a permanent structure. If they are moving, they will still have a local, and they have a mission house as well attached to.
Honorable Obiamia, or Abu, I'm sure you've taken note. Street naming is incomplete. Wish you well. Please assist my sister, Honorable Howard Kumsin, and let's read the venue.
Yes, I'm a part.
Right. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Congratulations, our leader.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable nominee, for some time now, we've noted that frustrated by the multiple length of time taken to acquire them, challenges with the fishing deficit in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Company Act is one reason why we put up that one-stop shop for Company Act, to see how best we can reduce the timing. I hope that in the application of the content of the Act, we should be able to reduce this. For now, I know you really want to do a cage in the riverine. You register with EPA. You register with Water Research Institute. We team up with the minister and see for special decks to facilitate for the investors to do that, because the aquaculture we having at the marine, the aquaculture in our riverines or in the cage system is a short fish. In fact, if you do it well and with all the biosecurity attached to it, it's a sure fish. So that is what we have in the marine, whilst we're working on the stock of the marine as well, making sure that the three subsectors have a good stand.
As a matter of interest, I want to find out if you have any idea of what happened when we woke up one day and found large species of dead fishes on our shores. I don't know if any investigation has been conducted and if there is a reason for that. If you can brief us on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know there's investigation going on, and I wish to maybe wait for the outcome, but I know there's other reasons, oxygen deficiency causing fatigue and stress to those animals. That is one reason that is being banded around anyway. But I know that when the investigation comes out, we'll be able to have a very good thumb on what are definitely the hot water, the hot one will go down, the cold one comes up. And when the cold one comes up, that we're swimming and met that current.
Thank you very much. I'm done.
They say if we ask you more questions, you give us also. Yes, Honorable Gisela.
Colleague, congratulations. Particularly excited about your scientific background, that you would complement ably and capably, because aquaculture and the fishery sector is scientific. And much as there's the politics behind the premix and so on and so forth, I'm hoping that, which I'm sure is going to be your mantra, to make sure that life and that sort of thing. But I just want to, I'm also excited in a way about your quality assurance background, that you'd give a good compliment, you would compliment your minister appropriately to be able to address the issues of depletion of stocks, fishing. And that is the point, is a critical point where it should be enough is enough and something has to be done about it. So aside from compliment your scientific background very well with what themselves. Secondly, I also see that you have worked in the construction sector for about 6 years or so as a project manager, 13 of them or so. In my constituency, Senior Break was not. There are some deficiencies that have to be seen to. 2 backgrounds of transport, landing beaches are sorted and are working well, and also the fish stocks and the marine pollution that is existing now is also addressed. Do you give that assurance to us that by the end of 4 years, if you stay in the ministry for 4 years, at least you have something to account for and measurable?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, definitely we should have, and that is very important. It's the reason why Cabinet has also approved the research vessel, because we need the research vessel to do a lot of research. In fact, if we want to replenish stock with that research, you can do it. You need a vessel to do a lot of research so that you can replenish the stock. You can look at areas within the marine zone where you can zone and all that. It's all based on research. So until we integrate scientific knowledge with practical experience, Mr. Chairman, and that is where we are moving now, so that we'll integrate that. And as you said, we'll link up strongly with the Ministry of Transport as well and find out. We'll come to your constituency to find out what are the deficits that are in there. So we see what we can do, because at the end of the day, the landing beaches by our laws, that will also assist avoiding this transshipment, because the law says that you need to land at the landing beach so you can declare, so we can prevent IUU fishing. If you don't put up a lot of the landing beaches, how do they land to declare, so that you can even take some scientific data as a primary source of information and feed it into whatever policy we're planning and how we're measuring our target. So it's very important, and we'll follow a suit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what innovation would you bring on board?
Well, we have the people in there. As I said, all we need is and work with them. The innovation we're bringing up in terms of the application of science, technology, and innovation, we have them. We just have to build a lot of resources first was put across because it up. But the innovation we am bringing on board is to assist my minister at the best as I can, as you said, with my scientific knowledge and the belief in research, that we need to do more research, and we need the capacity of our people, academia, all stakeholders. And I said that I believe in the principle of inclusion. We need to bring everybody on board, academia, everybody on board, integrate according to the co-management policy, and then we can get outcomes, desirable outcomes, really.
Yes, Honorable Ajari.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
Help the livelihood of about 2.2 million people. But this is a dip from 1993's 6%. How are you going to use fisheries to improve our GDP and also help create employment, especially among our young graduates?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, for the fact that fishery contributes so much to the whole challenge we have is conservation, greater conservation, and sustainable management approaches. If we do that with the scientific blend, we will be able to replete. And we want to start with the close seasons, which started last year and all that. But as I said, you need a lot of scientific knowledge to be able to do that. So marine, that is it. Our riverine, we spread all over the country, and we need to concentrate on our riverine as well. And we started aquaculture for food and jobs. Last year, we contributed some amount. This year, we are targeting 50,000 metric tons by the budget that we're going to improve on it to all the 16 regions with the secondary schools, the military, and all that. So when we concentrate on the inland, including the aquaculture, we should be able to improve. And as I said, the aquaculture for me is a reality. You have a fish in hand. If you handle it well with all its biosecurity, make sure the vaccination that we did continues, the immunization that we're doing to make sure we are optimizing the economic benefit of the venture. Security in terms of health, in terms of physical security and all that. So when we do those things, continue to do those things which has already been started, and also and all that. And we need a more research work on the viability of those and the health of those ones. And the other challenge we are facing is the cost of fish meal, because the base commodity is what the human being also take, the maize and then the sorghum. And when you have that challenge, it becomes a very big challenge to get a price down, to be able to get a fish meal at a price that will be viable and competitive. We need to look at that. Can we have a scientific research where we can have a commodity base that is not consumed by human being, a variety of a maize that the human being doesn't consume? We can put investment in there to do those research. And when we do that one, then we know we are sure of a commodity, a sorghum variety, a maize variety, that is the baseline for the fish meal. And we do that. They are also complaining, Mr. Chairman, about the definition by our statute in terms of aquatic animal and then the mammals. And because the poultry farm feed has some exemptions, it's not being related to the fish meal. I think when we will sit up with that one and see how best we can link up with Parliament as well, so we can look at those exemptions, so we can reduce the cost of production of the aquaculture. That will make an incentive for them, and it will increase production, so we can add on.
Honorable nominee, my second leg, how are you going to attract young graduates into fish farming?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we putting up aquaculture centers as a way to educate them and make sure they appreciate the viability of that one. And then the aquaculture for food and job, which is already rolled out, is also targeting youth. Last year, we target 13 of such youths. This year, we want to do more of those youth, including the SHS. We did 13 of SHS last year. This time, we want to do 30 of them. So, and the military and all that. So, we're targeting the youth to make sure they get it. But as I'm saying, we need to encourage them. They should know the outcome, because you want to know how viable it is. And those training centers are there for them. The digging of the ponds and then all the other infrastructure to provide to them has been done in 2019 and 2020. We need to enhance more in that direction.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Zain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, maybe before I ask my first question, the nominee is the 10th to appear before us since we started sitting 3 days ago. And I wish to make an observation that may seem controversial but relevant. We have so far gone through, as indicated, 10 nominees. And I raise it not because I think there's anything wrong with it, but because I believe it would have been an issue for concern. So far, the 10 seem to be coming from the two regions of Ashanti and Eastern region. So I'm just saying that. I don't think it is wrong, but I'm just saying that it's an observation I'm making. And because I believe it would have been an issue if, say, they were all 10 were coming from the 5 northern regions. I'll move on to my first question, Mr. Chairman.
You make it appear as if it's related to him.
Not at all.
So,
not at all.
When we finish, you can make the comment, but please ask him a question.
Not at all. So I moved. That's why I said that before I ask him of a question, I just want to make an observation. Right, Mr.
Chairman,
Honorable nominee.
Since Honorable colleague says that is a general observation that is not related to him.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't have the liberty of making opening comment. These are for his ranking.
I mean, if
so
you
would you want to let it slide by, say, withdrawing?
No. I think Deputy Chairman. Let me Deputy Leader. Sorry, Chairman. Like, if you listen to my opening comments, I said that before I ask a question, I'm going to make a general observation about the vetting. Yes, so I didn't say it's related to him at all. It's not. Thank you. Yeah. To my first question, Honorable nominee, the Ministry for Fisheries framework for 2019 to 2022. What is the overall mission or goal of the ministry?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ministry is to transform fisheries and aquaculture into a viable.
That's all?
Well, among other things. So that is the basic one, and the rules are established for both the ministry and its.
Mr. Chairman, I have a publication here attributed to the Honorable nominee on Ghana Web and also by newsghana24.com. The publication was based on the website's monitoring of an interview that he gave to Kingdom FM 107.7. The host was Kwame Tutu on their program Anapa Nkomo. I hope I got that right. And in that said interview monitored by these websites and published, you said that the NDC is a political party that is aimless and has nothing good for Ghanaians. And its leader, John Mahama, was visionless and aimless as well. Mr. Chairman, does the nominee expect us, members of the NDC on this committee, to demonstrate our visionless and aimless attitude towards his approval or otherwise?
First, verify whether what is alleged to have said is correct. Yes, Honorable. It says you alleged, published, that you have said the statement. First, is that true? Before we all go on to the other one.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'm known to be someone who measures what I say. I don't remember ever saying that.
But if you do remember,
I don't remember, but if I'm made to remember, I will definitely apologize sincerely. But
so
I'm saying that I'm not the type. I'm not the type who speak like that.
These were your words.
No, I'm not the type who speak like that. To be frank with you.
Honorable is a name. Do the honorable. I wish I could share this with you. You know, Chairman. I didn't know the meaning sincerely until I used it very wrongly and felt so bad on its usage. So you spoke Chi, you didn't speak Dagbani or the language Agyapong. The one I was saying is referring to you to it. You want to associate yourself with it? Or you regret them as one of those passing comments? Or you want to stand by them?
Thank you, Leader. Chair. Maybe just to help refresh the memory of the nominee,
Mr. Chair, just a moment.
I gave
just a moment.
The host of the program, the name of the host, Chair, the name of the program, the radio station, and the date.
Chair, with your leave, Honorable Anim, you may recall that you've made political statements of partisan in nature. You agree with me that you've made such statements before, especially on radio programs where you have opponents arguing on partisan lines. You recall such several comments by you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I've been on radio programs and with colleagues.
That being the case, it is possible you might have rebutted. You might have rebutted. And on the basis of his contention, there being a context, would you want to proceed by agreeing with his position that, well, if in the course of rebuttals, you might have veered into a political statement, and if such existed, of which he's making reference particularly to what he said, let's know your reaction, especially when you have a reputation for candor in this house.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, as I said, I will apologize for utterances like that. Definitely, I will apologize for utterances like that. But I said I don't really remember I made it, but I apologize if really it did happen. I apologize sincerely. If really
Chairman,
it
just
happened.
his words. I will apologize. I apologize. Choose it carefully.
I apologize if it really happened.
Chair.
Well, I honestly didn't ask for an apology, but I will take one. I was just asking if you, what you would think of our, whether you think we should carry that aimlessness and viciousness towards your approval or otherwise. But, well, you choose to, take guidance from the leadership. So I'll move on to my next question. Honorable nominee, there has been reports and verifiable so by journalists who have done some investigations into how outboard motors, for example, are distributed. Some party leadership, especially at the constituency levels, have been caught selling some of these outboard motorbikes at exorbitant prices to farmers after getting access to those motorbikes through the political connections that they have at the ministry. What will you do to assist your minister to ensure that these outboard motorbikes are distributed transparently and made accessible to those who most need it?
Thank you very much. I come back to the co-management policy. There's some of these reasons why, maybe in the wisdom of the president and cabinet, we should do this co-management thing, where we go down there, engage. The Fisheries Commission really have regional offices and zonal ones. We need to coordinate properly so we can identify the rare people who really need the outboard motors. And is the reason why the canoe registration exercise is also very important. It will inform into whatever we have to do to make sure we reach out to them.
Well, maybe one last one. I don't know if you followed the social media craze recently, which was aimed at naming and shaming members of parliament, especially in relation to projects that constituents believe that should be the responsibility of the members of parliament. I don't know if you followed it and what you think of it. A number of things actually were posted about you and your constituency, and I don't know what you think of it.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not too much into social media. I must confess, I'm not too much into social media. I believe in working closely with my people in the constituency. I work hard with them. I relate, I attend social activities that much as I can. But to be frank with you, I am not too much into social media. I am a bit off social media. So I haven't seen some of these comments, but I know my constituency, I'm challenged with road issues, and we're doing our best from previous years and now doing our best to get them shaped. We've had some of the drains and other things going on, but it's a large constituency. I have 281 polling stations, a very large constituency, and the road networks have been like that. So it's a challenge. I'm not surprised if it's in the social media by my rules, but I know gradually we're getting them solved gradually.
Well, let it be said to those who are tagging undone projects to MPs that they misapprehend governance. if we are
Mr.
free to tell
Chairman,
them
not
as it is.
Permission to interrupt you. That is why I didn't ask a straight question. I wanted to find out what he thought of it, because it is perhaps an opportunity for some education to be done and all of that, except when some of it gets personal about the member of parliament relocating from where he used to be because of the bad road.
I agree
Mr. Chairman,
but
Mr. Chairman, I live in the constituency. That is where I've lived all my life. I attended elementary school there, and you look at my CV. I live at Abensu with my family. I've not moved anywhere. I've not moved anywhere.
very well. All right, leadership then.
Chairman, our colleague, the Honorable Moses Enim, do you recognize that the NDC has made any contribution to the social, economic, and democratic development of Ghana in any way? Thank you.
I do.
Distribution and sharing of outboard motors, fishing nets, related materials for fishing. There are questions of discriminatory practices in its distribution. Will you assure this committee of fairness and that it will not be shared only on partisan basis?
I do.
And that, for instance, if members of parliament, particularly those on the coastal belt, were requiring, for purpose of assisting fisher folks in their various areas, to have access to what the state of Ghana does, we can be guaranteed that you facilitate that working with your minister?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
And Chairman, now, I want to quote, Ghana has been identified, I should albeit in time past, by the European Union of unsatisfactory practices with what it describes as illegal, unregulated fishing. And just to put the quote, the Commission stands for zero tolerance for IUU fishing. Ghana plays an important role in fisheries governance in West Africa. Therefore, we stand ready to work with Ghana to address the threats, illegal, unregulated fishing. What will you do with your minister to ensure that Ghana satisfies these basic minimum standards required by the European Union? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, as I earlier said, I will assist my minister so we can achieve the same zero tolerance for IUU fishing, the illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing. And it's all about the relevant agencies and all of us applying our acts, Act 625, as amended into 880, and its regulations in 1968, and as amended to 2217. If we do that, though, there's other school of thought. If you read the budget, trying to come up with a whole revision of the act, and it is all to ensure that it meets the emerging situations of international conservations and sustainable management of our obligations. Because we have entered into new treaties and conventions, and we need to do that. In fact, the yellow card is a formal warning of the EU to its trading partners for.
Well, Chairman, the nominee has captured my word. So the EU, in threatening issuing Ghana a yellow card, had this to say: the Commission noted that illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing is jeopardizing the very foundation of the Common Fishery Policy, CFP, and the EU's international effort to promote better ocean governance. What plans do you have for improved ocean governance in assisting your minister? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, it's all about improving on our monitoring, control, and surveillance. As we speak, and
Chairman, it appears that the nominee have read this report extensively, because my next paragraph will be, the Commission also made mention of deficiencies in the monitoring, control, and surveillance of the fleet and a legal framework. The legal framework, what will you do with your minister to address it? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you read the budget, it's even the act. And to add that, we really need the research vessel. We also know that Cabinet has approved four boats, that is patrol boats, to assist in surveillance work. And if the upgrading that we're doing for the vessel monitoring systems and the automatic identification number systems that we are upgrading for now, it also will help. But
Chairman, I raise this because the EU is Ghana's major trading partner, and they have particular interest in the fisheries subsector, and they further observe illegal transshipment at sea of large quantities of undersized juvenile pelagic species between industrial trawl vessels and canoes in Ghanaian waters. What will you do to assist your minister to address this concern of the European Union? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, as I said, it's all enhancing the monitoring and control surveillance. And at the landing beaches, if we put all those measures in place, you're going out with a canoe. So you must go out with the required fishing gear. And that is the reason why the ministry is trying to, have been giving clearance to employ more into the system. We have the regional fisheries commission, the zona. You go into the sea and you have a boat. You don't have fishing gear. So what are you going to bring? Definitely you're going for transshipment. And with this system that we're trying to put in to solicit voluntary compliance. But Chairman, Mr. Chairman, the other issue is about partnership, as the SDG speaks in SDG 17. With the regional, the national, the regional, and the global partnership, we need to strengthen that one as well, because when you get to the international waters, you don't have control. But when we all participate and partner ourselves, we should be able to get this problem off our heads.
Chairman, I appreciate that. Now come to your CV and human trafficking legislation. I know you have particular interest with matters of forced labor. And again, I ask this because I now move from the EU to the US. Ghanaian children's involvement in fisheries, Ghanaian children's involvement in cocoa. I grew up in a farming community, and if school was on holidays, I accompanied my uncle to go to the farm. To the American or to that Westerner, that is forced labor, that is child labor. Even though typically within Ghanaian cultural socialization context, I'm learning a job whilst formally dealing with this. It's also come up very strongly. So given your background, when you help in drafting and amending forced labor, what do you have to say to this? What's your knowledge? How do we respond to the Western tag? If you listened to CNN yesterday, that young station for our country, what do you have to do to assist your minister to give Ghana warm standing in the eyes of the international community who don't understand this cultural
Mr.
activities?
Chairman,
Thank you, Chairman.
it's all about getting the reportings done well and engaging the international community on some of this. I come from a very humble home, and I know that definitely in sustaining the livelihood of the family, all of us will have to do that. But I was not exploited. Parents make sure I go to school. That is the line. The line that the child is not denied of his right and is not engaged in any dangerous activity should be the line. Yet, we still have to work, do more advocacy and let them understand. And that is exactly what we did, that we were able to move away from being classified as tier 2 watch list in terms of human trafficking to tier 2. The advocacy were done, whatever we're doing in terms of the legal regime and whatever we're doing in terms of getting judgment on trials.
Thank you, Chairman. There is reported by researchers that the country's fisheries sector employs about 20% of the active labor force of Ghana, 2.7 million people, and industrial and artisanal fishing vessels competing with others. I'm a fan of salmon fish. There are those who like the Kobe and those who want more money. What are we going to do value addition to our fish products in order that the fisher folks can be assured of some value of what they do? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, value addition is very important. It's part of post-harvest handling approaches, and therefore we will need to create an enabling environment, because one area that we need is a private sector led. So we need to create an enabling environment, which successive government has also.
Chairman, I'm ending, but mine is another cultural issue. The Ga fisher folks, once upon a time, once in a while, they are told by you people exercising state authority that you are banning fishing. No communication, no relationship with them, no guidance, yet you know their livelihood depends on it. So I move beyond just Ga, but to persons whose livelihood is affected by those unplanned announcements. What will you do to assist your minister to respond to it?
I will encourage my minister for us to do a lot of engagement. And Mr. Chairman, when we roll out the co-management policy, the new act or the new bill that is coming is supposed to establish a legal regime and enforce the practice of co-management, where you have no option. You must have all the records of your engagement with the people, and timeously and timely you need to engage the people to inform them, because you want their buy-in. In fact, if you don't get their buy-in, their voluntary compliance, you will not achieve it. Because look at a 550-kilometer stretch of the coastline. Look at the Volta Lake alone. It's about 1,600 kilometers. How are you going to enforce your regulation without voluntary compliance? So you need engagement. So I will support my minister system to do more engagement.
As you walk to the ministry, I'm sure the committee will take a decision on it. But you recall that late President Mills, when he visited China and returned back, with then the pledge of 3 billion financing pledge coming from the Chinese government, apart from the project on improve the traffic situation in the country, he was particular about the landing sites, Discovery, I hope I got it right, Mountford, Axim, and others. I know that the ministry, through the Ministry of Transport, has come to Parliament for some parliamentary approval. I know you are understating. You have an idea, and was a promise that would see to look at when President Mills was president, may he rest in perfect peace. Up till now, that dream have not been realized. What will you do to assist your minister for the full realization of the completion of the landing sites? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, by the grace of God, if you get me there, I will link up strongly with my minister. What are some of the deficiencies? We will look at them. We know that we will have your support as well as Parliament, and we should be able that. Look, it's part of the reason why, if we really want to prevent transshipment, the law is that land at the landing beach are clear with your logbook and everything, what's bycatch that you've done, the red catch that you've done. Are you a bottom dweller licensed vessel, or you are inshore licensed vessel. We can only check all those things at the landing beach. Catching.
Lay behind his friend, him to start the church building for associated cost. Thank you, Chair.
Very well. Honorable former leader. We thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. I have no question for you.